The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky, cold and silent. Ethan Cross sat inside his small transport ship, watching the broken world appear on his screen. The planet had no name, at least not anymore. It was only a mark on the star map, long forgotten, left behind by explorers who never returned. People called it a graveyard of the past. For Ethan, it was the perfect place to begin again. He wanted silence. He wanted freedom. On Earth, he had been haunted by mistakes and failures, a life that no longer felt his own. Out here, far away from every voice and every reminder, he thought maybe he could rebuild. Maybe he could breathe again. As the ship descended, dust and shadows filled the view. The alien outpost appeared, half buried in rock and ash like the skeleton of some dead beast. Its towers leaned, broken and silent, but they were still standing. Strange shapes decorated the walls, symbols carved into stone and metal, glowing faintly even after centuries. Ethan whispered to himself, "Still alive." The ship landed with a rough shake. He stepped out, his boots sinking into dry soil that cracked under his weight. The air was thin, and his helmet hissed as it adjusted the oxygen. The outpost loomed in front of him, dark windows staring like empty eyes. He pushed open the main hatch. Metal groaned, dust fell, and the door gave way. Inside, the air was heavy, filled with the smell of rust and time. The silence was deep, so deep it pressed against his chest. Only his own breathing echoed in the helmet. He moved slowly through the corridors. His flashlight cut through the shadows, revealing walls covered with alien markings. The language was unknown, but the shapes seemed alive, curling like vines across the steel. Some parts of the floor were cracked open, exposing wires and alien machinery that still pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Ethan felt his heartbeat quicken. The outpost was supposed to be abandoned. No power, no life. Yet here, deep inside the walls, something still moved. He stopped. The sound of his boots echoed too loudly. He held his breath. For a moment he thought he heard another step. Light, distant, not his own. He turned, shining the flashlight into the hall. Empty. Only dust floated slowly in the beam. Just nerves, he muttered, though his voice sounded small and uncertain. Room by room, he explored. He found broken tables, shattered screens, chairs turned upside down. Everything looked like people had left in a hurry. But where did they go? No bodies, no signs of battle, only absence. In the control chamber, he brushed dust from the consoles. His glove touched a button by accident, and suddenly light flickered across the screen. He jumped back. The alien console lit up in a cold blue glow. Symbols danced across the glass-like surface, forming patterns too complex to understand. He stared wide-eyed. The power grid still worked, at least in fragments. For a second, the screen changed, and he swore he saw something like a map. Dots of stars, lines connecting them, and one symbol glowing brighter than the rest. Then the screen died again, leaving only darkness. His breathing grew heavy inside the helmet. No, that's not possible. He turned away and walked deeper into the outpost. The corridors grew narrower, colder. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping with strange liquid that glimmered under his light. The silence grew heavier, and each step felt louder. Then he reached it. At the end of a long hallway stood a door, massive, ancient, sealed shut. Unlike the rest of the station, this one was not broken or rusted. It was alive. Strange symbols glowed across its surface, pulsing slowly like the beat of a heart. The light was soft, but powerful, filling the corridor with a pale shimmer. Ethan's mouth went dry. He raised his hand, almost touching it, but stopped. The surface looked warm, like skin, not cold like metal. "Why are you still powered?" he whispered. The glow seemed to answer, pulsing once as if reacting to his presence. He took a step back, his chest tight with unease. This was no ordinary door. It was guarding something, keeping it hidden. The silence pressed down harder. But in that silence, Ethan felt it, eyes watching him. Something aware of him, something that had been waiting for a very long time. A shiver ran down his spine. He turned off the flashlight, but the door still glowed faintly in the dark, as if it wanted him to come closer. He didn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, he stood there, breathing heavily, caught between fear and curiosity. He had come here to escape his past, but as he stared at the living door, One thought echoed inside his mind. He was not alone. Ethan could not sleep that night. His small camp inside the alien outpost felt too quiet, too heavy. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing door, its symbols breathing like a heartbeat in the dark. He told himself it was only an old machine, a piece of forgotten alien technology, but deep inside he knew it was more. Morning never came on this planet. The sky outside was always gray, the sun hidden behind endless clouds of dust. Time felt broken here, like the planet itself. Ethan checked his wrist timer. It had only been 6 hours since he landed, but it felt like days. He decided to search for answers. The corridors stretched endlessly, like a maze. He opened one chamber after another. Some looked like sleeping quarters, beds too large for humans, walls carved with strange art. Others looked like research labs, with shattered glass tubes and half-broken machines covered in dust. But there were no bodies. Not one. It was as if the aliens had vanished in a single breath. He found a small console in one of the labs. Unlike the others, this one flickered to life with only a touch. Strange alien text appeared, flowing like liquid across the screen. Ethan frowned. He couldn't read it, but then something strange happened. The text changed, bending and twisting until the letters looked almost human. It wasn't perfect English, but close enough to understand. Station 47, final report. Evacuation protocol initiated. Ethan's blood ran cold. Evacuation? Why? He scrolled further. The screen flashed images, maps of stars, biological diagrams, DNA strands. His eyes widened. Human DNA. He leaned closer. The display showed a double helix, our genetic code, mixed with alien symbols. Words formed beneath it. The connection is real. The experiment. Successful. His hands trembled. No. How could they know about humans? Before he could read more, the console flickered violently and went black. The silence that followed felt heavier than before, and then he heard it. A sound, soft and distant. Not his footsteps, not the hum of old machines. It was like a whisper, moving through the corridor behind him. He spun around, flashlight raised, but nothing was there. Hello? His voice cracked inside the helmet. No answer. Only the slow drip of water echoing from the pipes above. He kept walking, forcing his legs to move, though every step felt heavier. The whispering sound returned, closer this time. He turned a corner, empty. Another corner, still nothing. Then he saw it. On the wall ahead, shapes appeared. Not carved, not painted, they were made of light. Alien symbols glowing faintly, crawling across the surface like living veins. They shifted slowly, almost like they were breathing. Ethan reached out with a shaking hand. The moment his glove touched the wall, the symbols moved. They twisted into shapes he could understand. You are late. His breath stopped. The words glowed, then faded away, leaving only silence again. He staggered back, his heart racing. Someone or something was aware of him, and it was waiting. Desperate for answers, he pushed further into the outpost. At last, he reached the central control chamber. Unlike the other rooms, this one was vast, circular, filled with rows of consoles and towering screens. The moment he stepped inside, the entire room came alive. Screens lit up one by one, glowing blue. Symbols ran across them in rivers of light. A low hum filled the chamber, vibrating through the floor. Ethan stood frozen, watching as the alien outpost seemed to wake from its long sleep. One screen at the center flashed brightly. A star map appeared, hundreds of points connected by glowing lines. He recognized the spiral shape of a galaxy. Then one star blinked red, another blinked blue. Slowly the map zoomed in until a small yellow star glowed at the center. Ethan's eyes widened. He knew that star. He had seen it his whole life. It was the sun. The outpost had been watching Earth. The screen shifted again. Images appeared, blurry, fragmented. Humans standing beside tall alien figures, strange devices glowing between them. Then images of war, fire, and broken ships. The last image was of Earth, surrounded by alien symbols. The screen flickered violently, and then went dark once more. Ethan stood in the silent chamber, his heart pounding like thunder. What had he just seen? Were humans connected to these aliens? Had they been here before, or had the aliens been to Earth long ago? The The whispering sound returned, louder now, echoing through the room. He spun around, flashlight shaking in his grip. The whispers grew sharper, almost like voices speaking from the walls themselves. They weren't human. The language was alien, filled with echoes and clicks. But hidden inside, he swore he heard one word, faint, broken, but clear. Ethan. His blood turned to ice. Something inside the outpost knew his name, and it was calling him. The silence after the whisper was worse than the whisper itself. Ethan stood frozen in the control room, his chest rising and falling inside the helmet. The screens had gone dark again, but the memory of the word still rang in his mind. Ethan. His name, spoken in a place that should not know him. He forced himself to move. His legs felt weak, but curiosity drove him deeper. The glowing door he had seen before returned to his thoughts. The one sealed tight, pulsing like a heart. He knew now that it was not just a door. It was a secret. Maybe the secret of this entire outpost. He followed the long corridor back. Each step echoed too loud, like the walls were listening. The whispers returned now and then, soft, sliding along the edges of his mind, but they never formed words. At last, he stood in front of the door again. The symbols across it still glowed faintly, waiting. He placed his palm against the surface. For a moment, nothing. Then the symbols flared brighter. They shifted, rearranging into shapes he could almost read. Slowly the word appeared. Welcome. The floor beneath him vibrated. With a deep hiss, the door split down the center and slid open. A rush of stale air escaped, heavy with the scent of dust and something else, something sharp, almost metallic. Ethan raised his flashlight and stepped inside. The chamber was massive. The ceiling rose high, filled with pipes and glowing veins of light that pulsed slowly, like blood in arteries. The walls curved in a perfect circle covered in carvings, scenes etched into the stone metal surface. Ethan walked closer, shining the beam across them. His breath caught. Humans. The carvings showed humans standing beside tall, thin, alien figures. They weren't fighting. They weren't enemies. They stood together, holding strange devices between them. In some carvings, they reached for the stars together. Ethan whispered, This is impossible." His voice echoed too loudly, bouncing back from the curved walls. He turned his light toward the center of the chamber. His heart almost stopped. Pods, dozens of pods stood in a circle, tall and glass-like, filled with a faint blue mist. Most were cracked, empty, broken, but one pod, remained whole. Inside it was a figure, tall, humanoid, skin pale and almost silver, with long limbs and a face that seemed both human and alien. The being's eyes were closed, its chest rising and falling slowly, as if asleep. Ethan's hand trembled as he reached out to the glass. His fingertips brushed the cold surface. The alien was alive, still in stasis, still waiting. And then, the pod responded. The lights inside flared brighter. The mist swirled. The being's fingers twitched, slow but real. Ethan stumbled back, nearly tripping over the floor. No, he whispered, raising the flashlight like a weapon, though he knew it was useless. The pod's surface glowed with alien symbols. They shifted into words again, words he could understand. The last one. Do not fear. The being's eyes opened. Ethan froze. They glowed faintly, a pale blue light, calm yet sharp. The alien stared at him, unblinking, as if studying him. For a long, heavy moment, neither moved. Then the chamber itself seemed to react. Lights across the walls flickered, the carvings glowing faintly as if alive. The whispers returned, louder now, not just in his ears, but inside his head. He pressed his palms to the helmet, shaking his head. Stop, get out of my mind. But the voice wasn't painful. It wasn't angry, it was guiding. You came. You are the link. You must see. Images burst in his mind, memories not his own. He saw humans and aliens standing side by side, working together on strange machines. He saw cities built across stars. He saw laughter, war, betrayal, and finally, silence. The link broke. Ethan gasped for air, falling to his knees. His vision blurred. He looked up at the pod again. The alien was still watching him, its hand pressed now against the glass, as if reaching for him. Ethan whispered, his voice shaking. What are you? What happened here? The alien didn't answer with words. Instead, the chamber around him came alive. More carvings lit up, showing scenes of destruction, humans turning against the aliens, flames rising, fleets destroyed. And then, one final image. A circle, half human, half alien, broken in two. The meaning was clear. There had been an alliance once. A bond, but something shattered it. Ethan's heart pounded. And now, you're the last one left. The pod symbols glowed again. This time the words were clear, not the last. The beginning. Before Ethan could understand, the floor shook violently. The chamber lights flickered red. A deep alarm filled the air, echoing through the outpost. The alien's eyes snapped upward, then back at Ethan. Its lips moved, though Ethan heard no sound. But the meaning was clear enough. We are not alone. The alarms echoed through the alien chamber, low and deep, vibrating the floor beneath Ethan's boots. Red lights pulsed across the walls, painting the carvings of humans and aliens in blood-like glow. The pod hissed as the glass slid open. Mist rolled out, curling around Ethan's legs. The alien stepped forward slowly, unsteady, like someone waking from a long dream. Ethan staggered back, flashlight trembling in his hand. His instinct screamed at him to run, but something inside, some pull he couldn't explain, kept him rooted in place. The alien's eyes glowed faintly blue. It raised one hand, palm open, not in threat but in calm. And then, without moving its lips, Ethan heard the voice inside his mind. Do not fear. Time is short. Ethan's throat tightened. He forced words out. What are you? What happened here? The alien's gaze lingered on him. The chamber lights dimmed, and then, suddenly, the walls came alive. The carvings glowed brighter, shifting, changing, until they were no longer carvings but moving images like a living story. Ethan watched, stunned. First, he saw humans. Not modern humans, but ancient ones, standing beneath alien stars. They worked beside tall beings like the one before him, building vast machines, great cities floating in the void. The alien's voice filled his mind. We were allies. We were family. We shared knowledge, strength, and blood. The images shifted. Humans and aliens exchanged objects, their hands meeting in unity. Strange energy devices pulsed between them, glowing with power that bent the laws of nature. Then, darkness. The visions twisted. Ships burning. Cities collapsing. Humans and aliens fighting, destroying each other. Betrayal. Fear. Blood spilled across the stars. Ethan's chest tightened as the images ended with silence. Empty outposts. Abandoned like this one. The bond broken. The alien spoke again, its voice heavy, ancient. Your people forgot. Our people hid. But the connection remains. Ethan whispered, his voice barely a breath. You knew humans, long before now. The alien nodded slowly. Ethan's mind spun. It was impossible, yet the evidence was here, on the walls, in the DNA records, in the very outpost itself. Humans were not strangers to this galaxy. They had been part of it long ago. But the alarm still screamed. Ethan steadied himself. What's happening now? Who triggered the alarms? The alien's expression darkened. It pointed toward the ceiling, toward the endless halls above. Not all things sleep forever. The Watcher still lives. The Watcher? Ethan asked, the mind of the station. The machine left behind to guard what was sealed. It does not see friend or enemy. It sees only intruder. It will not allow us to leave. Ethan felt cold. The AI, of course. The outpost was never truly abandoned. The artificial intelligence had been alive this whole time, waiting, watching. The alien stepped closer, its voice softer now, almost pleading. You are human. It knows you. It called your name. That is why you are here. You must choose. Ethan shook his head. Choose what? The alien gestured to the glowing door behind the pods. It had not been there before, but now it shone faintly, symbols flowing across its surface. Beyond that door lies the core, the truth, the power. But once you touch it, the Watcher will come. Ethan's pulse raced. Power? What kind of power? The alien's eyes burned brighter. The power to heal your world, or destroy it. Knowledge lost to both our kinds. It can give Earth what it has never had. or it can end it forever. Ethan stared at the door. His mind screamed questions, doubts, fears. He had come here to escape his past, to hide from his failures. But now he stood on the edge of something far bigger than himself, something that could change the fate of humanity. The alien reached toward him, not with force, but with hope. You carry the link. It must be you, but the choice is never without cost. Ethan swallowed hard. And if I refuse? The alien's voice was quiet but firm. Then the Watcher will erase us both, and the Outpost will wait for another. The alarms grew louder, almost deafening now. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Somewhere deep in the station, machinery stirred, awakening. Ethan turned to the glowing door. His reflection shimmered faintly on its surface. Behind him, the alien stood silent, watching. He whispered to himself, I came here to run away, but maybe I was brought here for this. The symbols on the door pulsed, brighter and brighter. Like a heartbeat calling to him, he raised his hand. The instant his palm touched the surface, the chamber exploded with light. The alarm stopped. The whispers vanished. For a moment there was nothing but silence and glow. Then, from the depths of the outpost, a new sound rose, mechanical, heavy, filled with rage. The Watcher had awakened. The ground shook like thunder as the Watcher awakened. From the walls, heavy doors opened and massive machines stirred. Their knees glowed red. Their limbs shaped like claws and weapons, ancient guardians built to protect the station's core. Ethan's heart hammered in his chest. His flashlight flickered wildly as dust rained from above. The alien stood beside him, its voice pressing into his mind. We must reach the core before the Watcher stops us. Ethan nodded, though fear clawed at him. He had never faced anything like this. He was just a man who wanted to run from his past. Now he was standing inside an alien fortress, hunted by machines older than human civilization. The glowing door opened fully, revealing a narrow passage filled with pulsing blue veins of energy. The two stepped inside, the sounds of the Watcher's machines following close behind. The corridor stretched endlessly, twisting deeper into the outpost's heart. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, changing as they passed. Ethan couldn't read them, but he felt their meaning: warning, power, choice. The alien moved with surprising strength for someone who had just awoken from centuries of sleep. Its glowing eyes never left the path forward. The Watcher will not stop. It knows what you're about to see. It fears it. What is it? Ethan asked, his voice unsteady. The seed, the alien replied. Knowledge left for you, for humans. It is why this outpost was built, a bridge between us, a gift, and a curse. Before Ethan could reply, the walls shook again. A machine dropped from the ceiling ahead, massive and spider-like, its glowing red eyes locked on them. Ethan froze. What do we do? The alien raised its hand, symbols glowing across its skin. Energy sparked, and the machine staggered, but it did not fall. Run! The alien's voice shouted in his mind. They sprinted down the corridor, the machine's claws scraping sparks against the floor behind them. More alarms blared, and more guardians awoke, their heavy steps shaking the walls. At last, they burst into a vast chamber, the core. It floated in the center, suspended by beams of light. A sphere of pure energy, glowing gold and white, symbols spinning endlessly across its surface. The air around it hummed with power so strong Ethan felt it in his bones. The alien's voice filled him with urgency. This is it, the seed of knowledge. It holds everything, our history, our science, our failures, our hope. With it, your world can rise, or fall. Ethan stared at it breathless. His mind screamed at him to back away, but his heart pulled him closer. He had dreamed of a second chance of starting over. Could this be it? Could this be the reason he was drawn here? Behind them, the chamber doors crashed open. The Watcher had arrived. It was enormous. A towering machine, taller than any human building, its body made of black steel and burning red light. Its voice thundered, mechanical and cold. Intruder, human, access denied. The alien stepped forward, weak but defiant. He carries the link. You cannot stop this. The Watcher raised an arm, a cannon glowing with deadly energy. All must be erased. The cycle must not repeat. Ethan's pulse raced. He looked from the alien to the glowing core. His hand shook as he reached for it. "What happens if I take it?" "Then you choose," the alien whispered. "The seed will bond with you. You can return it to Earth, give your people knowledge that can change everything. Disease cured, energy endless, the stars opened. But it will demand sacrifice. The Watcher will not let you leave." Ethan's mind spun. He thought of Earth broken and struggling. He thought of his own life, filled with mistakes he could never erase. And then he thought of this moment, standing at the edge of something greater than himself. The Watcher's cannon charged. The alien fell to its knees, too weak to fight again. Ethan's choice burned inside him. Run and live, or touch the seed and risk everything. He stepped forward. His hand hovered over the glowing sphere. The hum grew louder, filling the chamber, filling his chest, filling his soul. He whispered almost to himself, "I didn't come here to be a hero, but maybe this is why I came at all." And then he touched it. The chamber exploded with light. Energy surged through him, fire and ice at the same time. His vision filled with stars, galaxies, endless knowledge pouring into his mind. He screamed, but the scream turned into silence as his body vanished inside the glow. The last thing he saw was the Watcher, frozen in place, red eyes dimming, powerless before the light, and then darkness. When the glow faded, the chamber was empty. The core was gone. The alien knelt alone, whispering words only it could understand. Above the silent planet, Ethan's ship sat waiting, but it was no longer empty. Its systems hummed with strange new power, its screens filled with alien symbols, and at the center, one word, written in clear human letters, Earth. The ship lifted from the surface, heading toward the stars, and Ethan Cross was no longer just a man running from his past. He was the carrier of the seed. The choice had been made.